Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Abundology podcast. I honestly can't believe it's summer already. So, every quarter, I get together with my personal astrologer, Deborah Norton, to talk about the upcoming astrology and what it means for all of us. And somehow it's that time again. So, I know it's crazy. So, today we're talking all about summer 2026 and what the planets are up to and what we can expect this summer. So let's just jump right in. So, hi, Deborah. Thank you so
Hello.
much for being here again,
I
sharing
thought
all
I
your
would join
wisdom
you
with us.
from a virtual Hawaiian tropic summer
Which is perfect for
backdrop.
summer. I like it for a summer background.
Yes, I thought I would, we're not in Hawaii, but we'll pretend.
Yeah, exactly. So, we talked a little bit about summer last time, about how well, you have to tell us all about the aspects happening and all that. But
Right.
from what I remember, it was going to be a pretty good summer.
Yeah, it is. There is a big retrograde, Mercury retrograde, right in the middle of July. So we're all going to have to deal with that. Sometimes I've found that Mercury retrogrades in Cancer in the middle of summer can throw you off a little. So we'll get
Hmm.
there, but I don't want to start there. We'll work our way up to that. But that is kind of, a big event always. And it is right smack dab in the middle of summer. So I have some advice on how to navigate that, but here we are in June. We're not there yet. So why don't we start with today? I pulled the chart of the moment because I'm always just curious, like what's happening right now. Um,
So,
yeah,
with that said, I won't publish this until the 22nd.
okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's cool. I wanted to note just that it's very interesting at this moment that we're recording this, that the sun is unaspected at the moment, meaning the sun is not in aspect to any planet. And that's very rare. And I just noticed it when I pulled the chart and I was like, oh, that's worth noting because I don't know if we've talked much about unaspected planets.
No.
Yeah, and so, some people have them in their charts, but it's extremely rare because what it means is that the position of that planet is not relating or touching geometrically any other planet. It's just it's just on its own. It's just doing its own thing. So with the sun being there, now granted, obviously they're not going to hear this today, but maybe you guys can reflect back on June 13th when this comes out and just, day should be all about you. It's the sun. The sun is shining. The day, it was beautiful here. It is going to be actually pretty hot here in Oregon today. But yeah, it's just this strange, rare moment of just full independence and freedom. The sun is not answering to anyone, which is you. It's your identity. It's your authenticity. Like you're not answering to anyone today. So, you're going to look back on this day and let's think, it'll be a fun experiment to think like, what did I do last Saturday? But anyway, for you and me, Renee.
Well, honestly, that makes complete sense to me because right before this, I was like, what do I want to do today? I have this list of things I should do, but fuck that. It's like, what
Yeah,
do I want to do today?
do you. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
about you today. Yeah. I have not made plans. I was telling you before that we started that I was quite ill this week. So I'm a little bit in recovery mode, but I may just do nothing. I may just like lay on my couch. I don't know.
That's perfect.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So it
Nope.
is it is Saturday after all. So yeah, so anyway, I just thought that was fun to point out. I've seen very few charts with unaspected planets, but it's just basically if you look at your chart and you see a planet and on astro.com it has that section that goes down the bottom where it shows like all the little symbols, and if you go down the vertically down the row of that planet, you will see nothing in that column. And that tells you that it's unaspected. So that's one way of knowing if you have an unaspected planet. And it's just a rogue planet. It means it does what it wants. It doesn't answer to anyone. It's just living its own truth, So
Living its best life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's very like I said, I can only think of one chart in all the 500 something that I've now done, that I've seen and noticed it in a good friend of mine. Now we were good friends, so I noticed she had an unaspected Venus, and boy, did she. It she was just a great person and full of life and love and fun, and she did what she wanted, and she marched to the beat of her own drum, because Venus is your value system and your relationships, and didn't answer to anyone. So, that's kind of how that works. But anyway, moving on. So I guess I'll skip ahead then to my aspects starting July 29th, which would be the next one after this airs. And that is a full moon in Capricorn. So it's kind of interesting. We are moving our way past Gemini season. We will be into Cancer season when we have that full moon in Capricorn. It's the opposite energy of Cancer. So it's kind of, let's regroup on Cancer a little. It is the sign of the mother. It is all about hearth and home, and it is at that peak part of summer when you are just hopefully enjoying your family, enjoying the spoils of a life well lived, enjoying the comfort that you have worked to put around you through however you've chosen to live your life, whatever that means. It could also be the time where you are living out, family vacations often happen in the middle of July. So it is a big family theme. So it's almost like with this full moon in Capricorn right before or right at the beginning of Cancer season, it's like the authoritarian side of that dynamic. Cancer and Capricorn are opposite. Cancer is the maternal energy. Capricorn is the paternal energy. And it's almost like a check-in with dad before we kind of go fully into the mothering time of the year. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It can give you a way of like leveling off with Capricorn being a more, realistic, constructive, nuts and bolts way of doing life, as opposed to doing life through your feelings, which is the opposite of Cancer. So it gives us a little bit of like anchoring, I think, before Cancer season starts, which I think is really good, because most of Cancer season will be taken up by a Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. So that is June 29th.
Correct.
Okay.
And that is also the day that Mercury stations retrograde. And so it is the start of official Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde in Cancer is no joke. And I am a little more scarred because I am a Cancer. I just have known that I've had some hard times in July, and sometimes around relationships and just being in good alignment and communication with your partner or with those that are close around you. That can kind of go off the rails, as we know, in when Mercury is retrograde, because all of our internal processing kind of goes inward, and so we miscommunicate a lot. But with Cancer, it's even more so because it's in your feelings. So you're going to be really in your feelings a lot in July. And I just think everybody should be prepared for that. And don't try to like die on any hills. What I mean is, like, in relationship with other people, especially your significant other, it's like it's not the time to take any of it too close to home, because we're all internal. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So don't try to hash out any big issues in July. Instead, just experience them, be with your feelings, processing them, but don't try to fix any relationships in
So
July.
no ultimatums.
No, you're going to miscommunicate, Now, hey, there's nothing wrong with having an emotionally extreme, intense moment in your relationship. It's just, if it's the time for that, it will happen anyway. Like if you need like a full cathartic, emotional exchange in some way, it'll just happen. Like those things are unpredictable. Don't forget, Cancer rules the moon, and the moon is your feelings, and sometimes you can't stop that train. And with Cancer, it gets even harder to stop that train. So that's the point, is that these conversations or emotional interactions can be like runaway trains when it comes to
Mm.
the Mercury retrograde, and neither train is going to get anywhere. So instead, it's best probably to just you know, go in with your feelings, recognize the feelings that you're having, have them, but don't like bleed them out over everybody, and don't be a victim. Try not to put yourself in the victim seat. Try instead to be outside observing your feelings and the emotional story that is running through you in this summer. And so that you can, I don't know if you ever heard this, Renee, but I read a while ago that there's the most highly intellectual, or is that what's the right word? Sorry, highly intelligent emotional state that we can be in, that shows us to have the highest like EQ, right? Emotional intelligence, IQ, is if we can have feelings, very strong feelings, but also be aware and be watching ourselves and observing ourselves having feelings. Does that
Yes,
make sense?
being in that observer role.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
That
Yep.
is that is the that is a state of emotional enlightenment. It just is. It is a
Hmm.
very empowered state to be. And it's not easy at all if you're under 45. I'd say,
Well,
would
that's
you?
one of the great things about getting older then, because I tell you, it's much easier as you get older.
Would you agree, like around 45, like when we're through our midlife transits, like
Yeah,
our
I would
crisis?
think 45,
Yeah,
50-ish,
I
it
mean,
becomes easier. Yeah.
granted, then women go into menopause, but
Yeah.
that's an enlightening time, to be honest.
Yeah, it
In my
really is.
opinion,
Hmm.
it is. You deal with some stuff, but I think mostly, menopause is a very positive, enlightening time, other than like some of the physical aspects. But those are all, you can manage all of that now. I think, not to get off topic, but just quickly, for all my uh, fellow very recently postmenopausal women out there, um, I want to reframe it. Like, it should be a time where we are feeling more empowered than ever. And Renee, it reminds me of the time that when, 10 years ago, when you told me, and I had never in my life talked to a woman who had gone through menopause, who said, "Oh, it's no big deal." And I was like, "What do you mean it's no big deal? I've been told my whole life that menopause is the change, and that you're going to lose your body, you're going to lose your sparkle, you're going to, start to get old, start to look old." And you were the first person that said, "Oh, it's no big deal." And I was like, "What?" And
Well,
so
it
then,
was not a big deal to me. I did hear that from my mom, and so I thought, oh, well, if my mom says it's no big deal, it's no big
yeah,
deal.
I mean,
We
I just
trust
think
what we hear.
it's
I
brilliant.
will say though that I've done a lot of readings with people about menopause, and what I've gotten from the guides is that's our time of spiritual awakening.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Agreed. Yeah, I
Yep.
think that we should be promoting it and reclaiming that time for women as the most empowering time in your life. You
Yep.
suddenly become so clear on how many fucks that you have in your bag and how many you're willing to give. And it is empowering to feel that way. And
Yes.
it's also, depending on your story and depending on your trauma and depending on your healing journey, where you land in that time, it's going to go easier or harder, right?
Yep.
But it is a time of reclaiming your power and your identity, and your space in the world. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that, because I thought about it this morning randomly. I had the very clear memory of sitting in your office and you saying, "Oh, it's no big deal." And I just like, how Gemini is that? Like, how perfect
So
for Renee to
true.
say that. It's no
So
big deal.
true.
Where the Cancer over here is like, "Oh, my God." And so I chose to keep that in my memory as I went through it. And now I'm through it, and much, much stronger and better and shinier on the other side of it. And it is definitely a rebirth moment. It does not have to be the end of anybody's story by any means. So,
No, it's
uh,
just the beginning of the next wonderful chapter.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah, so back to the retrograde though. The point of all that is to say that it's going to be a little emotional. It's going to maybe be a little emotionally confusing. You might have misdirected emotion, and so the more and more and more that you can climb into the observer seat, and I kind of just picture that in my mind as like a lifeguard. Here we are all swimming in the ocean, and fighting our way through in life and trying to battle sharks and, keep our feet under us and not get tumbled by the rocks, which we do over and over again in life. But our observer is sitting in the lifeguard seat. Now, some people may even think of that as God, and that's okay. However you think of it, I see myself sitting in the lifeguard seat, and just keeping an eye on things. And I think as we get older, that vision becomes clearer of ourselves living and playing out our story in this life. And I don't know about you, but I find that so empowering because I feel a little bit more untouchable. Like there's a big part of my psyche and my soul that is like, I got you from up here. I got you. Like I'm looking at you. I'm watching your back. We're in this together. You're not alone. The more and more you can cling to that concept, I think, as we go through the summer, the better you're going to be. And it's summer and it's the beach and it's the lifeguard. Like just, like fully give yourself over to the metaphor of just being in it, being in the ocean. It maybe start to tumble. You'll feel things. Stuff's going to come up. Just sit with it. Just watch yourself sit with it, and don't push play to the outer world and to the rest of your life and your family or your friends or your maybe your BFF, but not your significant other if it is, especially if the source of pain is coming from your primary relationship. That is not to say that if it's over, it's over. I'm not ever going to tell anyone to stay in a relationship if you have an epiphany and this breaks you through that and you're like, no, fuck this, I am out. Now, I am not telling you not to do that, but maybe don't ever say, take a break. Don't be like
Take a
completely,
beat, take a minute.
take a
Yes.
breath, take a beat,
Mm-hmm.
go on a, take a week off and go somewhere by yourself, if you really need to get clear. But yeah, don't victimize yourself. Cancer can really be victimized. It's the classic mother who's like, nobody loves me anymore. I'm not useful to anyone. The mother that feels left out or the mother that feels neglected. That's that Cancer energy that can really start to be victimized. And you know what? Nobody likes that person.
I don't even like that person when it's us.
No,
No,
no, I don't like that about nobody likes to
no,
be a victim, you know,
no.
and I'm not saying that obviously there's thousands of ways we are truly victimized in life. I'm not downplaying that, but I think you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like, woe is me kind of a thing. So yeah, so that's a big part of this summer. We're just going to have this big Mercury retrograde right smack in the middle of it, and we're going to have to deal with it. And at the same time, give yourself over to the fun of summer. Just enjoy the weather, enjoy the beauty, get away, go camping. It would be a wonderful time to go camping or to get out into nature because that nature is so much bigger and nature is so healing. And then there's another really, really big shift happening. Actually, it happens right before that on June 19th, which is just a few days away. And I'm so excited about this, which is Chiron is finally moving out of Aries. Chiron has been in Aries my entire astrological life that I can recall. I mean, from the moment I became aware of Chiron, it was in Aries. And I started studying astrology a long time ago. So Chiron, just as a refresher, is our healing journey. Chiron is our wounded healer inside of us that is injured and hurt and traumatized, but still has to turn it around and try to be the best that it can for everybody else and try to do what it can do as a enlightened healer. When you heal yourself, you become an enlightened healer. And then you are able to give that out like we're doing right now. We're giving this, we're sharing our story, we're sharing our own healing, and we are helping heal other people. And the more that you share your own journey with healing, the more you are helping other people. It's just the wounded healer. I think it's such a beautiful phrase. The first time I heard that, I thought that's a beautiful, don't you think? Just
Yeah, I do.
the
I
fact
do.
that we're all carrying around trauma and yet we can all still continue to heal ourselves. By that doing so, we are continuing to heal the collective. So it's been in Aries forever. And what does that mean? It means courageous healing. I don't know. I'm tired of I'm tired of courageous healing.
We're so over it.
I don't want to be courageous healer anymore. I don't
Yes.
want to charge, charge, heal, like it's been intense now for me and you probably, and probably most of the people listening to this podcast in our age bracket all have Chiron in Aries. So all of us have just gone through our Chiron return. That's you go through that at around 50, 52. So all of us have been warriors in healing. And you can see it, Renee, just from your clientele that everybody that you work with and that thus I work with through you, they're courageous motherfuckers.
No doubt. Yes.
Because we're all in that same, like, we will heal. As parts of our last night breath, we will
I
heal.
cannot tell you how many times I've heard, like, what's holding me back? What do I need to heal now?
Yeah, like we're
And I
just
do think
marked.
that we're all fucking over it now.
I'm
Okay, we've
so
healed, we're
over
ready
it.
to move on.
I'm so over it. And what comes after though? That courageous, put yourself out there, blood, sweat, tears, put it all on the line. I'm gonna heal. Oh, Taurus. Taurus, sitting in the field, chewing the grass, the cow, just not moving around too much, feeling the sun, just enjoying the dew on the grass in the morning and listening to the birds and having a picnic and working in your garden and watching the things that you have so ferociously replanted start to grow finally. Doesn't that just feel so nice?
Yeah, and just your voice from in Aries healing to Taurus.
Well, Taurus moon, Taurus rising.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
is, I've been waiting for this. I am so ready to just enjoy all the healing. Enjoy it. Enjoy being healed. Granted, we all know it's a verb. We're always going to still be healing. The whole concept of Chiron is the wound never heals. You learn how to tend the wound so well that you no longer feel the pain. Now, sometimes it may come back, but then you go back to tending. You have worked so hard. We have all worked so hard on building tools to tend to our internal wounds that we have them now. We have our bag, so let's now jaunt our way in the next 5 days. Let's all hold hands and skip into the field, like we're
We
children.
did it. We
We
did
did
it.
it. Now we know we have our bag. We've done it. Let's now just be at peace with ourselves on our healing journey. We do not have to fight anymore. I'm so ready for this. And it's interesting because this happens at a time when otherwise we are all fire and air in the collective. So I like the passing of the torch. Like since Saturn and Neptune moved into Aries a few months ago, we lost that Pisces stronghold because Neptune had been in Pisces forever, 8 something years. Saturn had been there for the last 2.5 or so, and now we're finally moving that energy out of delusion, Pisces running out of control, detached from reality into reality. And I think we've all felt that in the last
Mhm.
couple of months that the entire collective has shifted into a more raw state of reality. The stakes are getting higher, the death tolls are climbing, like shit is happening. But now we get Chiron moving out of Aries and into Taurus to kind of like balance that out. Does that make sense?
Makes
So I feel
complete
like
sense.
it's a balm. It's a
Yeah.
balm for us because now Uranus is fully into Gemini. So what we have forming around us is not just the three outer planets of Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius. That is a trine sextile, which is good energy. We need to remember that. Even though it's chaotic and it's crazy and it's destructive, it's good because it's sextiles and trines. It's working for us, for our betterment as a collective. That's outer planets are working on the whole collective, right? But now Jupiter is going to be moving out of Cancer and into Leo. And then we're in what's called a basket. We have this because now we have the trine from Jupiter to Saturn and Neptune, and a trine from Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. So we've got air, air, fire, fire, all trines and sextiles. So it's a basket because it's got us, right? It's insane energy. It's hot and it's airy and hot. It's popping, right? It's popping, but it's cradling us. And I want to keep reminding everyone that as we go through the world of the turmoil in the world, in our country, all the things that are still happening, though we are seeing a good trend coming, which I
Yes.
predicted. I said by June, we will see things start to, like the karma will start to really come out. I think taking that name down from the Kennedy Center was like, oh yeah. I literally said, if something really intense does not come out of June for the administration, that I have to almost stop believing in astrology because like the astrology is so very clear, and
Well,
I feel good about what's happened this month.
oh yeah, and you can feel the energy shift.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely it's shifted from where we were to now where we're going. It
yeah.
feels so good. And I love the reminder here that life has us. The universe has
The
us.
universe
We're
has us. We are in
yes.
a grand plan. We are just players, right? And it's all coming out. And I think the metaphor, I just heard this morning that the reflecting pool is now already filled with algae again. I just like, how beautiful is that metaphor? You can scrub it down. You can spend how many $22 million draining it, scrubbing it, and just painting it with paint and expect that that is going to fix it. And then within 1 week in the bog that is Washington D.C., because it's a swamp, it really is, like weather-wise, that within that weather, within 1 week, it's filled with algae. Like it is such a beautiful, beautiful metaphor. I could write a whole book on that one alone. Like that just says everything about where we are. And the fact is that everyone can see it. It's right there. You can't miss it. And so that's where we are in the unfolding of this story that we have been going through in this country in particular, as we're coming upon the anniversary, the what, 200th, 250th,
250.
right?
Yeah.
What a time in our
I know.
country. Like this is monumental. It's very hard to downplay it because of the shit that's going on, but everybody should have a moment with that, I think. We, regardless of how we got here, and in this great experiment that some of us were born into, some of us have immigrated to, that we are all part of this story, 250 years unfolding in front of us. And every person in this country should have a chance to celebrate the good but not be in the dark about the things that need fixing. But, I don't know about you. I've gotten a little tired of hating my country. I mean, I'm ready to love my country again. And
Well,
we
yet
have,
I think this is a good reminder, of what our possibilities are.
mhm,
I growing up on the West Coast, they say that the further you are away from the capital of a country, the less patriotic you are. And I didn't grow up with any patriot. I didn't know
same,
anybody in the services. I didn't, know any of that. My parents were hippies against the Vietnam War, so
yep,
we heard all of that, growing up. But this is the first time in my life where I've appreciated and loved my country. Like, holy shit. Not love
I
it how
love
it is
that.
right now, but love the potential of it. Love what
Right.
we can be.
Right, because we are alive right now. We are vital. We are active. Gen X we're, I know you're a little bit beyond Gen X, but pretty close.
Yeah.
And we are now at that time of the end of the boomers, the beginning of Gen X. Ooh, it's our turn. And if we abandon our country now and say, oh no, it's just a lost cause, right when we're on deck, like our generations are on deck. We've waited 50 plus years for our generation to finally be on deck, and we cannot abandon it now. We cannot. Like we can actually wrangle it back into sanity and into compassion and into all the things that it wanted to be and it's always wanted to be, but we've never quite got there. But it's only 250 years old.
Yeah,
Study
exactly.
history and like that is babyhood, when it comes to the time of empire and how long things countries have been around. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't necessarily mean to go here, but it is going to be the 4th of July. It is a big time, and it makes me stop and think like, now is the time where we have to actually just get to work. It's not a time to be asleep. And I said this in the last podcast, and this energy all supports that, especially this basket of fire and air. And what does that mean? I mean, it really means that, the courage is there, the fire is there, the fire is lit within us, but also the intellect is alive and on deck, the air. We have to be smart, we have to plan, we have to think, and we have to be brave, and we have to take, we have to go, we have to get it, we have to grab it. That is the American way after all. And even though that can be sometimes negative way of negative thought, it's also it can be very positive. There's not, going and grabbing and getting what you want out of life is not a negative thing. you know how you do it and how you play and your choices that you make along the way are what define you as a person. But the spirit of make your life what you want it, go get what you want, make it happen, think your way through. I love that air is balancing out the fire, because too much fire and you just go without thought, with just pure instinct, just make a mess. With the thought on board, with the air signs on board, it's like, wait a minute. No, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to be smart. We're going to make a plan and we're going to adjust along the way. We've got Gemini in there. We got Aquarius, Pluto. We've got the destroying the stuff that is in our way. It's just like, that bulldozer. It's just like, oh yeah, that's in your way. You don't need that anymore. Look at that decrepit building that's in your way. We're just going to tear that down, get that right out of your way. Okay, you move along and you got the courage going because you got the Aries, you got the Leo, so you're kind of like in party mode too. You're like, woohoo, I'm brave and I'm happy and I'm charming and I've got the energy. But then the Gemini is the adapting. Oh, that didn't work. I better pivot. Don't waste your feelings. It didn't work. Don't have any feelings. Just pivot, because that's the brilliance of Gemini, how you can just adapt and say, okay, that plan isn't working. I'm not going to get stuck. I'm going to shift and I'm going to go this way. And with Leo, with Jupiter and Leo lighting the way here, it's all about what's in your heart and what your heart truly wants. And Leo, truly at the base of Leo is just big heartedness. That's what Leo is. I think sometimes Leos get overshadowed by ego and performer and on stage and performative and all that stuff. But truly, if you know a true Leo, it's all heart. It's just this joy. It's the sun. It's the sun shining. You cannot dim it. And so I have that happy, beautiful Leo expression is and that's why it happens in the middle of summer. That's when we're supposed to feel the best. And so that is Jupiter is closer to us than any of those other planets, and it's going to move faster. So it's going to be out of this quickly enough. It's only going to be in Leo for a year. But especially at the very beginning, let me give you the date. I think it's July 20th. I actually pulled the chart. Where we've got Jupiter at 4 degrees Leo, Uranus at 4 degrees Gemini, Neptune at 4 degrees Aries, and Pluto at 4 degrees Aquarius.
Wow.
That's the cradle.
Wow.
So July 20th, that's a special day. That's a basket. The universe is giving us this beautiful basket. You can almost think of it too as like a cornucopia. That's a
I
basket.
love
There's just
that.
like
Yes.
it's just so positive. It's dramatic, but it's positive. I feel that this is so positive. It's all trines and sextiles. Like, come on. So I feel like that is the leading the, that is the energy to pull yourself into this summer. But also understanding that the retrograde is going to bring up a lot of feelings in July too. So I don't, that is still happening. It's still Cancer season. We still going to have, let's see, Mars is going to be in the middle of Gemini, but and then obviously the sun moving through Cancer. So that brought us to what? The middle of, let's see, the middle of, there we go, July. So any thoughts?
Well, I have to say, I love the balance of the energy of this basket, um, empowering us, with the possibility that we could go into victim mode
Yes.
with that Mercury retrograde in Cancer,
Yep.
So
Yep.
I love the balance of the two.
Yeah, I think that,
Hmm.
it always gives us complexity. There's more than one thing going on all the time. Everything's
Yes,
happening all at once. I love
yes,
that
yes.
saying. And so, yeah, it's just all of this is, and then obviously it depends on your own chart, and people who have early degrees of air and fire. If you have an early degree air, fire, sun, or, if you know your chart, it's going to hit you directly. I have Saturn at 3 degrees Gemini. So like I'm right,
You're
Uranus is
right in
literally like
it.
right on my Saturn right now, and I'm personally in the cradle. Like that puts me like in the cradle. Like so depending on your own, I know you are because you've got all that early jump. You've got I think Mercury at 0
Yeah.
Gemini. I know your chart like by heart.
I know you know your chart better than I know my chart. So
So yeah, in fact today I think you're having a Mars return today, by the way, Renee.
okay, well, you'll have to tell me about that afterwards. So now, are
Yeah.
there any eclipses this summer? It
Yes.
seems like, oh, there are.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Yeah. The
Okay,
other
of
thing,
course.
before I move into eclipses, the other thing I want to say that is on July 29th, the sun is conjunct um, Leo. Sorry, the sun is conjunct Jupiter in Leo. So that's, the very, very beginning of Leo season. On the last day or the almost the last day of July, the sun and Jupiter are together. And that is just, a happy feeling. There's also another date that I feel I don't think I've ever talked about what it means for what Mercury Kazimi means. And I honestly, when I was studying for today, and I saw that, and it happens with every Mercury retrograde. It's just something I've never talked about before, and it's like harkened back to my early days of astrology school. And I was like, man, I haven't thought about that in so long. But I thought it might be fun to explain what Mercury Kazimi is. So Kazimi means in the heart of, and so during a retrograde, when the Mercury retrogrades. It comes, oh, I guess it maybe doesn't happen every Mercury retrograde, but it sometimes it will be exactly conjunct the sun. And so when Mercury is conjunct the sun, it's called Kazimi. And it means in the eye of, or in the storm, or in the heart of. And it is that like aha moment of the retrograde in this case. So that's happening on the 12th of July. So it just might be a day to be a little bit more tuned in and see if you have any epiphanies or breakthroughs, or that of the chaos of the retrograde. That's the eye of the storm where things get calm and where you can see clearly. So I would say that might be a date to write down and just be aware on July 12th, like almost exactly a month from today, how you feel that day. It's just always fun to run your own personal experiments. I highly recommend experimenting on astrology, because the more literal you can see the effects on yourself, the easier it is to understand and work with. And so that's a day that I know I'm going to try and slow down a little and just see like what's going on inside of me today. So that's the middle of July. So let's move on to the, where are you? Um, Eclipse. Okay. So, well, by August 6th, Mercury has left the retrograde shadow, so it is fully direct again. So by the beginning of August, all of that starts to clear up, so you can, start to feel less in your feelings, and you'll also not be in Cancer season anymore. August 12th, the total solar eclipse in Leo, and I think that's going to be visible Iceland and out there. I don't think we're going to, and Spain, I think I even saw that it's going to be visible in Spain, but I didn't see anywhere in the US that it's going to be visible. But it's a total solar eclipse in Leo is kind of a big deal. We had one. I remember standing in the middle of Southwest Portland that day that we had the total eclipse last time in August in Leo. So it's Leo themes. It's, again, heart, all about, truly expressing life, living life out of that hearth of your, out of, I feel like there's words that want to come, but it's just like, it's just like that loving center. It's the gooey center, you know, living your life from there. And that means, that's why Leo is fire. That's why Leo is courageous, because living life out of your gooey center is the hardest thing you can ever do. Is to continue to open your heart, to continue to trust, to continue to take chances on yourself, to continue to believe in your dreams as you get older, especially, and life starts to feel like you're running out of time, and you have all this big list of dreams and bucket list, and you're like, when am I ever going to do all this? Like, Leo means living from that space and not shying away and not getting so stuck on the rails of life that you forget that there's, that you're here to experience, to be brave, and to have love surrounding you. I mean, I don't know any other reason why we needed to come into these little bodies down here and manifest into these human beings, except to be able to relate back to each other our feelings, and for being existing, the mystery of existing, the fact that we're doing it together and none of us knows why. Like, so that eclipse is going to bring all these things home. So just, do something, I think it's always a special day, an eclipse, especially a total solar eclipse, to do something special. Again, also with Leo, it's creativity. So if you spent the day doing one of your creative favorite things, whatever that looks like, do that. Be creative, and try to give over to your creative pursuits. Always in Leo season, always, it's a good time. The end of, the later you get into summer and it gets to be hot, so you may not want to go out as much, then, find things to do inside that are creative and fun. My sister and my niece and our friend, we have a craft day every month.
Oh, fun.
And it is the day that we all sit around my table. We all just bring whatever craft we want to work on, and we just talk about life. And it's like the sewing circles of old,
Yes,
So
that's
I
so
highly
fun.
recommend craft day with your friends if you are a crafty person. It is very special. You don't have to plan too much. You just say, bring whatever you want to bring to work on. And sit around the table, and we drink mimosas, and we have a fruit platter. And we enjoy that, and so I highly recommend that, something like that. But whatever creativity is your jam. So, what do you like to do, Renee, in your creative time?
I don't think of myself as that creative, I
I know
have
you
to say.
don't.
I
That's why I'm
know.
asking.
I would think that my creativity comes out in my business.
Sure, of
Yeah, that's,
course.
I think, where most of the time it is. I love my plants and my flowers and all of
That's
that kind of
completely
stuff.
creative,
Yeah, yeah,
and
but
your
I
house is
do
beautiful too.
thank you.
You curate. You curate. You're a curator
Yes,
of the finer
yes.
things that you love and you enjoy, the things that you meticulously treasure, your treasures, your home is always
That's a
so
really
pretty.
good point. I think my creativity is my life,
Yeah, I think it's your surroundings.
my
Just even,
surroundings,
yeah,
and how I'm living my life, how I'm
yeah,
choosing to create it.
yeah.
Yes,
Love that. Yeah,
I
we're all
love that
creative.
too.
I mean, we're all fundamentally creative beings.
Yeah.
We just not everybody likes arts and crafts, that's just, one.
Well, I like them. It's just not that I'm that great at them.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not
I
my
mean,
place I just don't enjoy them
yeah.
like I think some people enjoy them. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a good reminder to know that just if you're not a stitcher or a knitter or a crocheter or a
Yes.
painter there's so many other ways to create. I mean,
Yes.
I would say obviously home, home decor th- that's definitely an area you're extremely creative. And then you surround yourself with that all the lovely things that you love and that make you feel happy and warm and safe and that make you feel like that
Yes.
this is me, and so that is what Leo is all about. Leo is about being the star of your own show and putting your own self on center stage, like you're the Taylor Swift of your life, so to speak,
Yeah,
as famous
and
as
Leo
she is.
rising.
Well, I was going to say you have a strong signature of Leo, and it didn't
Yeah.
come to me, but it's the rising.
It's the rising.
So
Yeah.
doesn't that make sense? It is you.
It is me.
You
Yes.
said it. You said it before. That's so great. I love when you say it. Yeah, you said that. It's me. It's my life. That's your rising. That's
Hmm.
exactly what your rising is. So yeah, exactly. So for whatever, just it should be lighthearted. Try to keep August lighthearted. Try to keep it in a higher vibration. So, if you've gone through a cathartic July because of the Mercury retrograde in Cancer and just Cancer season, then August is the time to just be light. Just let it be light. Just let the sun shine. Don't try to work it too hard. Just let the things that you love about your life envelop you, appreciate them, see them. The best way to get into that state of mind is to start a gratitude journal. Every day you write just one thing about that you're grateful for. I guarantee you're going to start with one and then you'll be like, oh, wait, on that too. And oh, wait, that too. And by the time you're done, you have a list of like 20 things that you're grateful for. Because once that energy starts, that energy of gratitude, it just blossoms. It blossoms like the beautiful trees do in spring. You start to say, oh, but this, and then you start to think, gosh, I have all this, and there's so many people who don't. And how much harder it is. And then that makes you even more grateful. And gratitude it feeds on itself and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you can get yourself into a good gratitude practice, even if you're not writing it down, you're just looking in the mirror and saying, I'm grateful for this today, just one thing, I know you know this, it will change your life.
Oh, yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
it's
That's the
even
number one thing
scientific.
I tell people. Also, yeah, it multiplies, but it's also contagious. So,
Yes,
so
yes.
if you want to make a difference in the world, be grateful for your life, the things happening to you, and then that multiplies out.
It sure does because your
Hmm.
energy your signature, just the very essence of you will bleed that all over everywhere
Yes.
that's a terrible way to say it, but it will shine. It's like
Yes.
an aura, right? It just shines. And you meet someone new and they can feel it instantly. If you're in a space. Now, I'm it's impossible to maintain every day because life throws you stuff, but there's literally every day you can be grateful for something, even if
Mhm.
it's just that you know have a breath in your body to to get through another day. So yeah, so I always feel like August is that time. That's what the Leo is all about. And make sure that you don't let the summer pass you by before you go out and enjoy this time of year. Sometimes we can get so busy that it's already September and it's like, oh, I know I've done that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't go outside enough. Like I didn't get out under the sun enough this summer. And so you want to do that before it passes you by. So any other
Yes.
thoughts?
No, I have to say, I'm feeling really great about this
Good.
summer,
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like, there's all the little things, Venus will move into Leo, all the little things happening, but I like to keep the themes pretty large because it's easier
Mhm.
to remember. But yeah, so again, Taurus, Chiron. Just take that in. Just take
Yes.
that in. Everything comforting and warm and yummy and soft and sweet about Taurus, that's where your healing journey is now going to be. I mean,
Yeah.
as I speak, um, Chiron is at 29 degrees Aries. So we're within moments of starting to sink into I mean, I can't stress enough how different this is for us.
Well, I can't wait.
Because, and you as a healer and anyone out there who is a healer, you're going to notice a change.
Yeah.
That it's literally, it's time to put down your arms and enjoy the progress that you've made, enjoy the peace, enjoy the moment that you created of safety and haven. That's what Taurus is about. And that's where your healing is going to be able to rest for a while. So
And how lovely to have that right at the start of summer.
I
You
think
know, it's
so.
like, oh my gosh, it just sets
Yeah.
us up for a fabulous, juicy summer.
I think
So,
so. Yeah. And after that, then we move into this, a little
yep,
bit of emotional July, but then we have the lovely beauty and heart-centered August. So
yep,
that's the
yep.
big story of the summer.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, I think that you do readings really right now almost exclusively for Abundology clients and podcast listeners,
Well, it's
you
the only
know?
way that I quote unquote advertise my readings is through you because I find that you are a channel, not just a channeler, Renee, but you are a channel for extremely incredible souls who have found their way to see your beacon that I've always told you you have a beacon that just shines. And certain people are fortunate enough to find that and then I get to find them through you and they're just such amazing, amazing, amazing people. I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So if you would like a reading with Deborah, you can schedule one by emailing her at debnorton@me.com. And I'll also put your contact info in the show notes.
right.
And before we go, though, I am excited to say that Deb is going to be one of the guest instructors for Spiritual Summer School this year. So this is the third year that I've hosted Spiritual Summer School, and it's really my favorite thing to do, my favorite thing I do all year. So, starting July 7th through the rest of July, I'll have classes. There's 12 classes taught by an amazing group of guest instructors. This year, we have a really good lineup. We have an animal communicator, a medical intuitive, human design mentor, somatic healer, a dream interpreter, tarot and charm reader. And I'll also be teaching classes along with Deb, but I'll be teaching classes on a life path numerology, how to use your home as a vision board, and then how to communicate with fairies. So it's,
Oh my goodness. That's
I know, it's
so
so
fun. What a
fun.
wonderful summer you planned, Renee.
I know. I'm really looking forward to this fabulous July. So
Yes.
yeah, so the entire month of summer school is only $150. You can learn more and
Are you
register.
serious?
I'm serious, yes. At
Holy cow.
abundology.com. Registration is open now, and I will also put a link in the show notes. So, as always, everybody, thank you so much for listening. And, we will see you next time on the Abundology podcast. And thank you, Deb. Thanks so
You're
much for being
welcome.
here.